McMahon. I'm very excited about this interview. Stephanie McMahon is a fourth generation wrestling promoter and member of the very famous McMahon family, the daughter of Vince and Linda McMahon, who have built the WWE into a global phenomenon. She started at age 12, working as a receptionist in the family business. She is now an on-air personality, on and off professional wrestler, chief brand officer of the WWE, and we welcome Stephanie McMahon. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I'm really honored to be here today. Thank you all.
So Stephanie got off a plane from China yesterday, came to the dinner last night, was hanging there with Amelia Boone, and I just tweeted a picture at last night. I was feeling both of their biceps. And
I would not try to compete with her physically at all.
I would call it a draw, Steph. I would call it a draw. So so Steph has 1.9 million Twitter followers. Good job.
Thanks.
Sally Krawcheck thinks she's a social media phenomenon.
We have a very passionate fan base, especially on social, and I think that a huge part of that is because our fans are a part of our show. You know, WWE is really interactive. If you've ever watched Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, you'll see that, you know, while our storylines play out in the ring, it really is the audience that makes that ambiance, that creates that energy. And they actually often dictate what happens in the ring. Because what we do is really more akin to performance art, you know, like ballet. And if the audience...
Ballet?
It's true.
Very rough and tumble ballet.
No different than Shakespeare or a movie or an opera or a ballet. It's storytelling with protagonists and antagonists and conflict resolution. The only difference is our conflicts are settled in the ring with some of the greatest live action that you can see on television.
So, Stephanie, am I right? I went back and I read a 1990 story, a big story that we did about the WWE when you were 24 years old.
And my mom was CEO.
And your mom was
Yes.
CEO. And, you know, Stephanie's mom subsequently has run for the California Senate and...
Connecticut.
Pardon me?
Connecticut.
I mean, Connecticut.
Well,
I'm
the U.S.
sorry.
Senate, but
the
yes.
U.S. Senate from Connecticut, and is a very multimedia, multi-industry powerhouse of her own. So, Stephanie, am I right? It's said in this Fortune story that you began at age 12 as a receptionist. Is that correct?
So technically, it was younger than that
Okay.
as a merchandise model in our catalog.
Okay.
Child labor laws are not an issue because I wasn't paid for anything. I did start working reception right around 9th grade, so however that's 14, 15.
All right.
And back then there were no automated systems, so I was the receptionist for everything, and I still remember extensions from that day.
Oh, wow.
Actually, Howard Finkel, who was our first ever employee, I still remember his extension. Just...
So, you know, growing up in this family, and Steph's great-grandfather was a wrestling promoter. So was there any alternative path for you, or did you just know that you were headed into this family business?
Well, my parents supported me to follow my dreams, but I think that a huge part of me really just wanted to be with them. You know, they spent so much of their time when I was growing up building this business. And, you know, they weren't around as much as I would have liked them to be around, but the quality time that I spent with them just made me want to be with them that much more. And the conversations around the dinner table were downright fascinating. In addition to just growing up in our business, I mean, my best friend was Andre the Giant. You know, I would go to our live events at Madison Square Garden on Monday nights and still get up and go to school the next morning. You know, it was a pretty, I suppose, unusual upbringing, but for me, it was just the norm.
So the WWE is a $700 million annual revenue business. It's a public company, For the first time, I guess we were talking last night, your biggest Facebook following is actually in India, which is amazing. It's become a very global business in 180 countries.
Yep, and 25 languages. And,
yeah.
Facebook is obviously a tremendous platform for us, as is all of social media. We trend on Twitter 52 weeks a year, so every single week, because we are live content. There's no off-season, no rerun. And on YouTube, we're the #1 sports channel in the world on YouTube. We beat FIFA, we beat NFL, NBA, MLB, etc.
With over 12 billion views a year.
Yep.
So Stephanie's path at this little family company has been, I was looking at your bio, and 10 years ago, you were Senior Vice President of Creative Writing.
Yep.
SVP of Creative Writing. And you really have been, it's so interesting. I was an English major in college, and you have really been a storyteller and sort of the resident expert on what makes a good story. And given what the WWE has built, I think that there are lessons here maybe for other companies, whether it's Procter & Gamble or Apple or Google, in how to present a corporate story and what to do and what not to do. Can you give your thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So from a storytelling standpoint, Tony Robbins has a quote that information without emotion is not retainable. And I think that that's an important point for any brand trying to make a connection out there. There's a proliferation of products and services. So why should audiences or consumers care about your product? Why? Can you answer that question in your marketing and your messaging? And the single best way to relate to an audience, to relate to a person, is through storytelling, because stories are relatable. So if you can position your brand in that way, I remember a commercial since I was a little girl. It was a Polaroid commercial of this little daughter dancing on her dad's feet. And it goes through as she gets older, that same dance, and then suddenly she's a bride dancing on her dad's feet. And I so resonated with that commercial because it spoke to me. It was family. And I think that that's one of the most important pieces of your communication, is to relate to your audience. Give them a reason to care.
So speaking of telling stories, Stephanie she wrote a book, and the publisher was to be Regan Arts, which is Judith Regan's publishing company. And Stephanie is actually revealing something today. The book was supposed to come out in September, and then it was delayed a little bit. And so what's happening with this?
So we're putting it on hold. I am personally just reassessing. And I think that it was important to understand that it was originally supposed to be a memoir, so my own personal story growing up in WWE. And as the first book from my family, the McMahon family, it needed to be so much more. Because I've grown up in a spectacular fashion, with all of these incredible larger-than-life personalities. But when you think about what my parents went through to build this business, the fact that my father, when he took it over from my grandfather, that he actually received death threats for what he was trying to do, because our business was regional. There were all of these different promotions and territories all over the world, but especially in the United States. And what his vision was to take this regional property and make it syndicated, at first all over the country and then ultimately all over the world. And in essence, there were these little fiefdoms. And so he was invading their territories and getting better television coverage because
making deals with local TV stations.
That's right, because he thought he had the better product, and ultimately he did. And they didn't take too kindly to that. And he actually told me this great story about a threat that he received from a gangster, a notorious gangster. And he told me the story of being in the room, like this old hotel with like the dark wood panel walls and this big oversized man with a very unattractive face. And he was threatening my dad's life. And my dad, was was willing to stand up to him and all of these different people to make his dreams come true. And our country was very different, during that time.
So this book sounds fantastic, and WWE fans
yes.
were waiting for this book, and this is news that you're putting it on hold. So,
But
Steph,
that story wasn't originally in the book, and that's my point. I think I need to
so
make
you
it
want
bigger
to do
and
it
better.
You want to make it bigger and better. You want to put that story in the book.
Story.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
got to
the
be
thing.
meaty. There are high expectations for this book, and so what are you going to do? Are you going to find a new publisher? You told me that you basically killed the first version that a ghostwriter helped you with, and you wrote it yourself. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do now?
Well, you're going to have to stay tuned, Patty. I don't quite have all the answers right now, so
publishers may
we're
be calling you this afternoon, tonight.
Let's hope so.
Who has a question? Hold on, wait.
Sorry, that's your job.
You're the boss. You're all, okay. Yes.
Hi, Adrian France Odyssey. Obviously, you've grown up with this family of yours, and you probably knew from very little that you're always going to have a place in the company. But I'd love to know where you found that your spot was going to be, where you were going to make a real impact, and what your passion point of it was. Because obviously you play a lot of different roles, but I would like to hear where that was and kind of the story around when that aha moment came to you.
So that is really my best contribution, is my most recent contribution as Chief Brand Officer. And I'm also a television personality on our shows. I play a villain, so if you ever watch and everyone's booing me, it's good. It means I'm doing my job. But our mission is to put smiles on people's faces the world over. And whether we do that through our entertainment content, if I do that, for example, from the ring, when I see the smiles on people's faces, or when you meet somebody in an airport and they tell you a story about, oh, I remember when this happened, and it's a smile from ear to ear. Or when we have the opportunity to give back, which is a huge part of our business and something that is a core value for WWE. And you have the chance to meet these children who often are very underprivileged and see the looks on their faces and the smiles that you bring and the hugs that you get. I mean, there's nothing more rewarding than that. So it's such a privilege to represent this brand and to be a part of WWE, especially as Chief Brand Officer, and the chance to really tell our stories and spread awareness. And, that's what WWE is.
There are some rumors as Ronda Rousey is heading toward her retirement from the UFC that she may be doing a deal with you and you may be bringing her into the WWE. What is the likelihood of that, and have you talked with her about this?
I have loosely talked to Rhonda about this, and we would absolutely love to have her as a part of WWE and welcome her with open arms. And if anybody did see WrestleMania 31 when she had me in an armbar, I was letting her win. I'm just saying, just so you know. It was just, I was letting her have her moment.
Good to know the truth.
Yeah.
Good to know the truth.
So,
So your dad, Steph, is 71 years old now.
He is.
And how long is he going to be? He's the chairman and CEO. How long is he going to continue in this key role?
Well, considering the fact that he claims he is never going to die, I have a feeling he's going to be around for a very long time, and may he be.
Is your mother possibly going to have a role in the Trump administration?
We're going to have to see how everything plays out. But I would be incredibly proud of her if she did.
It's very interesting to watch. The McMahon family is a huge supporter of Donald Trump, and your mother is certainly qualified for a number of positions there. We're going to close with one of my favorite questions. What is power?
Ooh, what is power? You didn't tell me you were going to ask me that one. I think power is influence. I think the ability to influence people is power, in its most simplistic answer.
I'll just share with you something. I've been asking this question of men and women for 20 years, and what Steph just gave is, and I don't mean to demean it in any way, it's what I believe as well, but it is a very female definition of power. It's a very horizontal definition of power. Men tend to think of power in terms of position and vertical. So thanks for being a woman.
I'm proud to be a woman
Oh, so
and
am
to
I.
represent women, you know, especially in our business. And I know that our time is up in 13 seconds, but if you happen to tune in to WWE programming, you're going to see a huge women's evolution that's happening right now. And they are absolutely tearing the house down, and our fans are demanding it and asking for it. And you would have seen this past Monday night on Raw, 2 women, Charlotte and Sasha Banks, main event Monday Night Raw and close out the show. So it's something that our audience wants. It's something that these women are able to provide in a bigger and better way than you could ever imagine. And you would be incredibly proud as a woman watching them.
Yeah, this has been one of Steph's real missions over the years, to put women in the forefront. So good for you, as long as they don't kill each other.
It's entertainment, Patty.
Really? It's not real? It's not real?
It's real entertainment.
See ya.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.